Maxwell spotted behind bars, pacing, maybe blowing off a little bit of steam. You see, she just...
Every time you think the Meghan Markle circus can't get any messier, someone lobs another grenade. This time, it's none other than Ghislaine Maxwell.
So, here we go again. Just when you thought Meghan Markle's endless string of dramas had finally hit rock bottom, the universe finds a way to dig her even deeper. And who shows up to deliver the blow? None other than Ghislaine Maxwell herself. Yes, you heard that right. That Ghislaine, the woman still rotting behind bars for her role in Jeffrey Epstein's twisted empire of exploitation. Out of nowhere, she's back, and the whispers coming from her prison cell are so shocking, so sinister that they've sent shockwaves through the press and left Meghan reportedly in absolute panic mode. For months, Maxwell had been eerily quiet, fading into the background like a ghost in orange prison scrubs. But if you know anything about her, you know the silence never lasts. And now, whispers are bubbling up that she's sitting on evidence, yes, actual evidence, tying Meghan Markle to a very dark, very ugly chapter of her pre-royal past. And let me tell you this, if even half of what's being hinted at turns out to be true, Meghan's carefully manufactured from Duchess to Hollywood girl boss fairy tale is over. Completely over. Done.
Response to that congressional subpoena seeking her testimony. Her attorneys have just sent a letter to the House Oversight Chair, James Comer, saying initially they were just going to invoke her Fifth Amendment rights, but they say now that they are willing to cooperate if, and this is a huge if, some big demands are met.
Word first broke through leaked prison chatter, yes, chatter straight from the prison yard, that Ghislaine Maxwell had been talking to associates, dropping cryptic mentions of a certain document. And this wasn't some boring old resume or acting portfolio. Oh no, this was allegedly a file cataloging Meghan's life before Suits, before Harry, before the fairy tale, before all the staged reinventions. According to the whispers, this so-called document doesn't paint Meghan as some hardworking actress clawing her way up Hollywood's ladder. Instead, it paints a picture of someone dabbling in adult games and role-play parties, the kind of elite fantasies the wealthy men in Epstein's orbit were infamous for. And get this, the phrase reportedly attached to this file? Playing the adult game. Now think about that. It's vague enough that Meghan can deny it, but it's juicy enough, salacious enough that people don't need it explained. Their imaginations do all the work. That's the dangerous part. People don't need proof, they just need an idea. And once that idea is out there, it sticks. Of course, Meghan's loyal defenders were quick to jump in, shouting that this is all just a smear campaign, the latest attempt to tear down their Duchess. They're calling it baseless, slanderous, a conspiracy. But here's the thing, they're glossing over one huge, inconvenient detail. The source isn't some random Twitter troll or tabloid blogger, it's Ghislaine Maxwell herself. And whether you love her, hate her, or think she's the devil in designer heels, you can't deny one fact. Ghislaine was at the center of Epstein's empire. She knew exactly who was being invited, who was mingling in those secretive, disgusting circles, and who brushed shoulders with power and privilege in ways the public was never supposed to see. So, when she starts pointing fingers, even if her credibility is tainted, you better believe people are going to listen. Maybe reluctantly, maybe through clenched teeth, but they'll listen. And you know what? That's all it takes. Just a whisper, just a hint. And right on cue, things got murkier. Almost the same week that Maxwell's prison whispers started circulating, a U.S. judge suddenly denied requests to release Epstein's grand jury transcripts. Now, the official explanation was to protect the safety and privacy of victims. Sure, fair enough. But come on, people immediately smelled something off. If there's really nothing damning in those transcripts, why keep them sealed like nuclear codes? The timing couldn't be more suspicious. Maxwell hints at files, Meghan's name starts cropping up, and then, bam, the transcripts stay locked away from the public eye. Convenient, isn't it? Too convenient.
And this is why this stuff has to be passed line by line by line. It is riven with clues about the Epstein case.
Completely.
Now, let's rewind to a little-known but absolutely crucial piece of history that most people completely overlooked. Virginia Giuffre's attorney, you know, the woman who took down Prince Andrew, once publicly stated that Meghan personally knew Virginia. Let that sink in. Not a passing acquaintance, not a friend of a friend, she knew her. That detail alone is staggering, because it doesn't put Meghan on the fringes of this whole sordid mess. It places her inside the social orbit, right there in the same world. And it gets worse. Meghan's name wasn't just whispered about. At one point, it was even discussed as a potential deposition witness. Yes, you heard that right. Lawyers wanted Meghan Markle questioned under oath. Not for cheap headlines, not for tabloid clicks, but because she might have held actual key information about Prince Andrew's behavior and the broader royal connections to Epstein's world. Just picture it for a second. The Duchess of Sussex sitting in a courtroom being grilled under oath about what she saw, what she heard, and, this is the big one, what she chose not to disclose. That is Meghan's ultimate nightmare. That's the one thing her PR team has been working overtime to prevent, because once you open that can of worms, you can't put the lid back on. And here's what makes it even more damning. The attorney didn't mince his words. He said Meghan had knowledge, not rumors, not speculation, not third-hand gossip. Knowledge. Knowledge that could confirm what Virginia endured. Knowledge that could expose how deep Andrew's ties went. And here's where the hypocrisy cuts deep. Meghan, the woman who built her whole post-royal empire on authenticity and truth-telling, sitting on explosive knowledge about Epstein's world, that changes everything.
It is my biggest shame that I carry around that I will never get rid of. And I'm really, really sad that I brought other girls my age and even younger into a world.
Of course, Meghan's cheerleaders were quick to say, "Oh, please, she was just another face in the crowd. She barely knew those people," but let's be honest, the phrasing used at the time didn't exactly scream stranger. The words, close companion. And let me tell you, in legal language, close companion is heavy. That's not something an attorney throws around carelessly. It implies access. It implies intimacy. It implies familiarity. And lawyers don't risk reputations on flimsy phrases like that unless they're confident they can back them up. Now think about that again. If Meghan really was involved in those elite scenes, even on the edges, then her years of silence aren't a sign of innocence. They're a sign of omission. And omission in this world can be just as damning as guilt.
Sexual crimes. It was deeply frustrating to sit there and sort of see names of famous wealthy people. Yes, they were on planes, they knew Jeffrey Epstein, but you kept wondering, well, what else did they know?
And come on, let's not pretend Meghan has a flawless record when it comes to honesty. Who could forget the Finding Freedom scandal? Remember that little courtroom drama where she swore up and down that she had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with that biography, only for court filings to prove she and Harry were feeding the authors behind the scenes? That bombshell exposed one very uncomfortable truth. Meghan can and will lie under oath if it suits her narrative. She's already done it once. So if she's ever forced into deposition about Epstein's world, does anyone seriously think she's suddenly going to turn into Mother Teresa of honesty? Please, the track record speaks for itself. And the timing of this mess couldn't possibly be worse for her. Meghan has been working overtime to push her big California rebrand. Her jam jars, her wellness candles, her wannabe Gwyneth Paltrow empire of pastel-tinted empowerment. But let's be real, how do you sell organic wellness Duchess when your name is being tied to Epstein, adult role-play parties, and whispers of a secret CV? You don't. It's laughable. It's like trying to sell yoga mats while your face is plastered on the cover of tabloids screaming about depravity. The optics are deadly. And yet, Meghan's response? Silence. Not a carefully crafted denial, not a fiery PR statement about baseless attacks. Nothing, just silence. And that silence, it's deafening. Because let's be honest, when Meghan Markle, the woman who never misses a chance to clap back at critics, suddenly goes mute on something this scandalous, that doesn't look like dignity. That looks like fear. And the ripple effects are brutal. Let's not forget, Prince Andrew, already disgraced, had been warned to brace himself for more files being made public. And then, bam, the judge blocks their release. But the whispers still got out. If Andrew's name was about to get splashed all over headlines again, and Meghan's was tangled up right alongside his, no wonder Buckingham Palace has been stone cold silent about her for months. They don't want their fingerprints anywhere near this disaster. And then there's Harry. Poor Harry. Stuck in the middle of this humiliating storm, this is the man who burned centuries of royal tradition, abandoned his family, and declared he was protecting Meghan from the evil British press. And now he's watching helplessly as Meghan's name flirts dangerously close with one of the darkest scandals of our time. If these allegations stick, even a little, Harry's entire justification for Megxit collapses in on itself. He gave up everything for her, and now she's being linked, even indirectly, to Epstein's legacy. The irony is soul-crushing. And here's the terrifying part for Meghan. Even if the mysterious CV never sees the light of day, even if the grand jury files stay locked away forever, the rumor alone is enough to destroy her brand. Perception is everything. Hollywood doesn't care about truth. Sponsors don't care about nuance. All they see is Epstein connection. And once that label sticks, you are radioactive. And believe me, Netflix is already looking for an excuse to cut ties after her string of disappointing projects. This scandal, it might just be the perfect excuse. So here we are. Meghan Markle, caught in the ugliest rumor storm of her life, thanks to a convicted insider who has nothing left to lose. Maxwell knew exactly what she was doing when she whispered Meghan's name. She didn't need to show proof. She didn't need to wave documents in front of cameras. She just needed to hint. And hint she did. Now Meghan, who once believed she could control every headline, finds herself powerless, helpless, watching as her name gets dragged deeper into the darkest corners of Epstein's legacy. And let me tell you, insiders are whispering that Maxwell's legal team has even more cards to play. We're talking about unearthed documents, tapes, lists of names that were never meant to see daylight. Among them, Meghan's whispers keep surfacing louder and louder. Think about it, flight manifests, archived emails, coded journals. This isn't gossip scribbled in a diary. This is the kind of material that makes Buckingham Palace lawyers sit bolt upright at 3 a.m., sweating bullets. Meghan, whose entire brand is built on this facade of moral superiority, has woken up to headlines suggesting she's tangled, however indirectly, in the very scandal she's tried to tiptoe around for years. And let's be brutally clear, this is like trying to sell organic jam when people are suddenly asking if your kitchen is crawling with cockroaches. It doesn't matter if it's true, the optics are toxic. And this isn't just internet gossip in some shadowy corner of a conspiracy forum. The mainstream press is circling. Tabloids, broadsheets, everyone knows Meghan Markle sells. Attach her name to Ghislaine Maxwell's scandal, and suddenly it isn't just gossip anymore. It's global news. From London to New York, Sydney to Toronto, this story is everywhere. Meghan's face side by side with Maxwell's mugshot. For Meghan, this isn't just another bad headline. This is reputational arson. The timing couldn't sting more. Meghan's brand was already limping along. Her podcast deal collapsed, her jam jars collecting dust, her Netflix fairy tale reduced to background noise. She needed a win desperately, something to revive her fading shine. Instead, Ghislaine Maxwell handed her a scandal on a silver platter. It's like watching someone wobble on a tightrope, barely hanging on, only for someone below to hurl a rock. Down they go. And let's not forget the royals. Palace insiders, never ones to miss an opportunity, are allegedly gloating behind closed doors. To them, Meghan's entanglement with Maxwell's shadow confirms everything they've been whispering for years, that her rise to fame was never as clean as she made the world believe. One palace aide reportedly told a journalist, "We always knew the truth would catch up to her eventually. It always does, brutal. Cold. But in the ruthless court of public opinion, words like that cut deep." Meanwhile, Meghan's silence stretches on. No fiery statement, no Oprah-style sit-down, no carefully staged tears in front of the cameras, nothing. The playbook is gone. And in its place, what looks like paralysis. The silence isn't strategy anymore. It's desperation. For the first time since she became royalty, Meghan Markle looks powerless. Truly powerless. The whispers of documents, tapes, names, it's all hanging over her like a guillotine. Insiders say this is just the beginning, that Maxwell's disturbing evidence could eventually drag Meghan's name deeper into the muck than anyone could have imagined. And here's the kicker. Sometimes you don't need the full truth to destroy someone, you just need the suggestion, the seed of doubt. And that seed has already been planted. For Meghan, the fairy tale is cracking. The girl boss Duchess image, the pastel lifestyle brand, the carefully curated truth-teller persona, it's all hanging by a thread. And thanks to Ghislaine Maxwell, that thread is about to snap. They'll be seeing Epstein's shadow, and that's a shadow you can never escape.